Welcome to History and Headlines with Granny Monster, Llama Monster, and ActionGal. First up, Llama Monster with dumb phones.
This is from the St. Lucia Times, from Sky News. Dumb phone sales on the rise. Now, I can kind of relate to this because I don't think I like the smartphones. I think they're creepy. I think they're intrusive. And I think dumb phones, yeah, they do the job, you know, the Flipposaurus dumb phone, as they used to say. But I digress. The Sky News article reads, walk down any high street and you'll most likely see people glued to their smartphones. The devices have become so indispensable to users that recent research shows on average people check them every 12 minutes. But now more old-fashioned technology is making a comeback. Sales of so-called dumb phones have seen an increase for the first time in years. Phones that simply make and receive calls. I know, right? Are known in the industry as feature phones and being marketed as a means to switch off from the constant connectivity we've all grown used to. I'm loving this, folks. While global sales of smartphones rose by just 2% last year, feature phone sales went up by 5%. Mary Erskine from Twickenham, is among customers opting for a dumb phone to escape around-the-clock access to social media. I just hated the fact I was always on it, she said. My friend said the other day, you check it 150 times a day. You're always on Facebook pages and Instagram, and you're just on everything. And the more you do, the more you feel like you need to do it. You know, folks, I like this. This is good. Dumb phones on the rise. My faith in humanity was restored. Good times. Anyway, thanks for watching.
And now, ActionGal with more of that Black Death history.
Plague 2.0, pneumonic plague. As if having one type of plague isn't bad enough, believe it or not, there is actually a second type. And here we need to understand something. You can't actually catch plague like you might have done with a cold. No, to get plague, you actually need to be bitten. This is usually the result of being bitten by an infected rat or flea, which then infects the plague bacteria into the bloodstream via the bite. Because of this, it's not actually possible for plague to pass from person to person, only animal to person, via a bite. Phew. Yeah, about that. Originally, the above statement was true. It was only possible to get plague by being bitten by a plague rat or a plague flea. However, as the plague progressed through Europe, another strain developed, pneumonic plague. If the original bubonic plague ran through the body, you stood a roughly 50-50 or 60-40 chance of death or life. However, if the plague infected the lungs, it mutated into pneumonic plague, which not only had a much higher mortality rate, about 99%, but which was now far more communicable. Pneumonic plague caused violent coughing fits, which meant that the plague could now be spread through the air and could be inhaled by anybody unfortunate enough to be near the hapless victim, which turned them into yet another hapless victim, who could then unknowingly infect a third hapless victim. You might start to see a pattern emerging here. Next week, we'll talk about the great pestilence of Europe.
And last, here's me, your ever-faithful Granny Monster, with some sad news about Burt Reynolds. So, here's another thing. Yeah. Burt Reynolds, star of Deliverance, Smokey and the Bandit, dies at 82. Burt Reynolds, one of Hollywood's most popular leading men during the 70s and early 80s in such films as Deliverance, Smokey and the Bandit, and The Longest Yard, and Semi-Tough, has died. His rep confirmed that he died Thursday in Jupiter, Florida. He was 82. I like this guy. I don't know of a lot of women of a certain age that didn't look at, oh, Bert, and have some kind of thoughts, you know? So he's no longer with us, and for that I am deeply sorry. Sorry toward his family and, of course, those left behind. Yeah. Bert, I always thought he was very talented. I loved every time he worked with Dom DeLuise. They made an outstanding, just outstanding comedic duo. Very, very handsome. I always thought he was America's answer to Sean Connery in so many ways. So many ways. And he even did a couple of appearances. One of them, as I recall, was on The Twilight Zone, where he did basically an impersonation of Marlon Brando that was just too funny. I suggest you Google this star, get to know him a little better. Oh yes, and he had a very colorful dossier, one of which was a yeah, he posed for Playgirl magazine. He sure did. He just did not care. You have to have a sense of self. You really did. And miss ya. Ba-da-dun dun 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 dun. Yeah, Bert. Alright, I guess that's it for now. Thanks.